saddle under Flavia Press, victorious in the Del Futurity.
And Swiss Skydiver is sailing home here.
By a combatant, another win for Heronis Racing and John Sadler in the Big Cat. Joel Rosario aboard.
Welcome to the Capital OTB Stakes Preview, brought to you by Capital OTB Bet. I'm Seth Merrow. He's Mike Callahan. Good afternoon.
Glad to be back, Seth. After last week, you held down the fort. I was away at one of our locations in Schenectady, but glad to be back as we take a look at some Gulfstream action.
You said you were at Boulevard Bowl, which is back up and running. And we were talking one of our favorite locations.
Yeah, one of our top
We've been there
easy
for
bets.
a couple of on-the-road
Well,
events that were a lot of fun.
The one that always everybody, at least in the office, remembers is you being there for a bankroll, and all the patrons had the option to either take what was already built in the account or send it in, and you were able to strike some gold, and the crowd erupted, and you won over $600. So, but Boulevard Bowl's back in action. Glad to see that as they reopened, with the COVID shutdown situation. So they're going to be Wednesday through Sunday if you live locally in the capital region, and operating hours will be from noon to 8.
Kitchen open too?
Kitchen's
They got some
open.
good chow there,
Yeah.
and
I mean, there's obviously with the bowling alleys right now, guidelines and restrictions are a little bit different than normal restaurants and bars, but they're glad to be back up, and I know our patrons will be excited in Schenectady.
yeah, we've had some of the nice food there. So yeah, some good chow at the Boulevard Bowl, and of course, nice easy bet location, a lot of fun, and swing on by now that they're back up and running. Yeah, I was in last week, did solo, and looked at the nice Pegasus card. Let's get some of your thoughts. I've talked about it subsequently here on the network, but I was not totally convinced with Nick's Go. Had that one underneath a little bit. I put Code of Honor on top. I didn't get much of a run there, but I thought Nick's Go may get a little pressure early. He did. He kept on going. I took a real pop. I had Nick's Go underneath in the mix. I took a pop against Colonel Liam in the turf, though. I just wasn't convinced, and now I'm convinced.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree with you because I was not sold either on Nick's Go. It was tough for me to fall in love with a horse in that race specifically. I thought the same thing you. I saw some speed in there, and you're right. Nick's Go took a lot of pressure early. He went some honest fractions, and he was pulled up. I mean, he's a horse that's steadily improved. For me, I was a big Game Winner fan. And if you remember when he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Nick's Go was the horse at 60-1 that finished second that day. And I was like, you know what? This horse has some potential. And Brad Cox has done an unbelievable job with him. And, it looks like they're going to be heading to the Saudi Cup now. And now the big question is going to be, with Charlaton's huge performance and his stocking capability, what's going to be the setup in there? Because obviously Nick's Go is going to be on the lead, and Charlaton's going to be right off. And it's going to be a pretty intriguing race, considering you also have all the world class handicap horses that will be coming in from overseas as well. So it's going to be an interesting setup, but definitely a horse that's clearly one of the top horses in that division.
Yeah, and Brad has said he thinks he can go up to 1.25 miles. It's going to be interesting to see how they do play out the remainder of the year. Colonel Liam, a nice player now for Todd on the turf scene. So it was a nice weekend last weekend. I'll also mention, and I've talked about this a little bit too, but last weekend was Future Pool 2 on the Kentucky Derby. The first one of 2021, Future Pool 1, was towards the end of last year. I said as I was in here at the end of the day on Sunday, all others at that point had been going, I'd been watching all afternoon, but going between 9 to 5 and 8 to 5, and it clicked down to 8 to 5. And I said 7 to 5, a little too short. But wound up at 9 to 5, and I'll tell you, to just about triple your money taking anybody but these 23. I thought all others was a pretty good bet. On the single side, Mandaloon went off at a big price. I'm kind of willing to forgive him first try around 2 turns, and at 40-something to 1, I thought he was a little bit playable. Proxy would run second in the Lecomte. I want to say Proxy was 80-something to 1. Muda Sabik for Pletcher was 40-something to 1. So I thought there was a few that you could have played around with.
Yeah, and it's interesting as we take a look at it right now as you have it up here. Caddo River, who just won the Smarty Jones. I'm not sure specifically what he went off at. He was 30 to 1 on the morning line going into the pool, but he's a horse that had to take a lot of attention off the impressive performance at Oaklawn. Like you said, the all others right now looks to be the smarter bet, but you know what? If you can make it into the gate, that's where the future's really, because just having a shot at probably 5 times the value you're going to get in the starting gate on Kentucky Derby Day, that's what makes the futures fun. So.
Yeah, Life is Good and Essential Quality were the two that took the action of the single entrance, and they were down in single digits. And 3-4 months down the road, you do not want 7 or 8 to 1.
No, not at all. And I remember someone when Always Dreaming won the Kentucky Derby clocked him in the, I think it was like Futures 2, 50 to 1 or something like that. So that's where the futures pool gets fun, and it's a couple dollar bet. If you could put $5 on a couple of horses that you like, for some reason they don't make it to the starting gate, you weren't out too much money. But if they do, you're alive for some big money, and that's when it's pretty fun and rewarding. So
yeah, next one comes up in about 3 weeks, February 14th, and again, kind of fun to play around with. I usually jump in and get some all others and a couple of, and typically as they go in the gate using the all others, and I'll have 3 or 4 others at some decent odds. I may wind up with 10 or 12 in the gate that can make me a little future pool money, which then allows you to maybe play around a little bit depending on how you played the future pool. But again, take a look as the next couple future pools will come up, because they'll be available here obviously at capitalotbbet.com. All right, let's jump in on a nice card at Gulfstream on Saturday. It'll be highlighted by the Holy Bull as we step further along the Kentucky Derby trail, but we'll go in chronological order from a little earlier on the card. The Kitten's Joy, 3-year-olds on the turf. I talk about it all the time. It's a division I like quite a bit, a subdivision I like quite a bit. And I was between the horse you're going to look at and the horse I'm going to look at, and we'll pull up first the horse I have on top, Never Surprised. It's Todd Pletcher, it's Mike Rapoli. I went between that one and Kentucky Pharaoh. Kentucky Pharaoh has the recency of 3-year-old starts and a win in a stakes race here, and Mike's going to take a look at that. But I went back to Never Surprised. Couple of starts as a 2-year-old. Todd Pletcher, Mike Rapoli. They paid a couple of $100,000 for this horse. A nice investment, I think. This horse is now 2 for 2, and we'll look at the stretch run of the Central Park, where Never Surprised took him all the way around on the front end. Looking at the buyer figures, really solid for a 2-year-old. Late in the season, an 89 and a 90, and now being off late November until early in the 2-year-old season, part of a couple of months, may come back even a little bit improved. That's kind of what I'm hoping. So again, these two are pretty evenly matched to me, but on the potential for a little 2-year-old to 3-year-old improvement, I went with Never Surprised on top. Kentucky Pharaoh, obviously very dangerous. And if you're looking for a price, I thought Original was interesting. With only the lone turf start, it was a win. Then they got ambitious and tried the Jerome last time. But maybe this horse is more of a turf runner, given what we've seen in the 3 starts so far. And I think it will get a little bit of value. 5-1 on the morning line. That 3 horse is a little bit playable to me. I have it 6, 7, 3, and 2.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I have it 7, 6, 4, and 1. I thought it was between the 2 horses that we're going to talk about. And Kentucky Pharaoh, we're going to see the replay of the Dania Beach, where the Kentucky Pharaoh was coming off of a 2-week gap where the horse had just broke the maiden, was able to be on the front end like the maiden breaker 2 weeks before that, and really was able to open up in the stretch. Now, the favorite's going to be the 3 to 5 horse, the one on the outside, and this horse is able to pull away and did so in really, really good fashion. I think this horse has a really nice resume already on the turf and could make a big step forward in here, because it's going to get a stiff challenge from the 6 who you like in here, Seth, Never Surprised. But the first 2 career starts were on the dirt, throw those out. Didn't really do much running, but did run against some good horses. Caddo River, who we talked about, Mandaloon. So while the horses, that this horse was running against were pretty solid, the best running so far has been on the turf. Again, these American Pharaohs, they can run on either surface, it seems. And this horse has a lot of potential. For me, it just came down to the way I think the pace is going to develop. I think Kentucky Pharaoh is slightly faster than Never Surprised. It may be able to clear into the first turn. And if that's the case, that's his game. Kentucky Pharaoh being on the front end. So we'll see if Never Surprised is able to do it from off the pace. Last time I was on it, but I thought it was a flip of the coin between the 6 and the 7 here. Wouldn't be shocked to see either of those horses go off as a favorite. The 4 underneath in the 3rd spot, if you're looking for a long shot, Siggy Loso, 10 to 1 on the morning line, and I'm going to be watching the board on this horse. 2 career starts. First career start was on the dirt. Throw that out. Got onto the turf last time against Florida Breds and was able to grind away a victory going the mile distance. For some reason, Never Surprised gets a little aggressive on the front end, and Kentucky Pharaoh, they decided to duel themselves in defeat. I think Siggy Los at a big price, and Edgar's Eye has been having a phenomenal champions meet down at Gulfstream so far. So if you're looking for a little bit of a price, I thought the 4 was interesting in the 3rd spot. And then Chess's Dream, a horse that just broke the maiden and in the 4th career start. Again, another race where it was against Florida breds, going to be facing, stakes company for the first time, against some stiff competition in here. But for Mike Maker, Tyler Gaffleo, and I thought those were the 2 horses at big prices that I wanted to take a look at. 7, 6, 4, and 1 for me in the Kitten's Joy.
And again, it's 3-year-olds on the turf, a subdivision I like quite a bit. And one of the reasons I like it is there are plenty of stakes opportunities at various tracks all year long. So these will be horses to maybe key into and kind of watch as they run on Saturday and maybe go forward as well to some of those other stakes races. All right, a little bit later on the card at Gulfstream, the Swale for the 3-year-olds sprinting. 7 furlongs, field of 6 scheduled to go. I'll let you tee it up because, once again, I have another horse on top, but the horse you're going to look at, I could have easily used, and it's right underneath for me. But I'll set it up and get your thoughts on the Swale.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at Drain the Clock. I have it 5, 1, 6, and 2 as far as my top 4 selections in here, but we're going to see the replay of the Limehouse last time. Where Drain the Clock's going to be the 4 on the outside, was able to sit just off the 3 as you're watching them come down the stretch, and Drain the Clock's going to be able to open up at will. It was very impressive. They went some quick fractions. You can see 21 and 3 for the first quarter, 44 and 4 for the half, and still this horse being on the front end was able to open up against some horses in here. Is going to face a couple horses that look to be on the improve, like Likeable and By George, who I know you have as your top choice, Seth, and you can talk about here in a second. But Drain the Clock, 3 for 4 lifetime. The only blemish was when they lost the rider at Delta, going that 7 furlongs in the stakes race. I think the post position is going to be the most important situation here. The main speed seems to be the 4, Poppy's Pride. The fact that Drain the Clock draws outside, you may see the same setup you saw in the Limehouse. And if that's the case, I think Drain the Clock could make it 4 for 5 in the career. I'll use Drain the Clock on top. Underneath the 1, Likeable. Broke the maiden breaker in the 2nd career start. Then went on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at Keeneland. Didn't do much running. Tried to be on the pace that day. Was stretching out to a mile on the 16th. Going 2 turns for the first time. Now you're going to see this horse coming off a bit of a layoff. Hasn't been seen since November. But may be able to run fresh in here. Cuts back from the 2 turns while a couple in here look to be stretching out, notably the 4. So I just thought the 1 may be able to sit a nice trip, maybe the pocket trip with Todd Pletcher and Luis Saez aboard. I thought this was an interesting player at 3 to 1. And then the 6, your top choice in here, By George, who was very impressive at Aqueduct for the maiden breaker in the career start. Won by over 5 lengths that day. Got a really good 81 buyer. Should be sitting a nice trip just outside with Ryder Ortiz Jr., Christophe Clement teaming up in here. Really no knocks on the 6, just obviously a big class test in here, considering the 1 and the 5 are been running in some graded stakes companies. So 5, 1, 6, and 2. But it looks to, for me, purposes wise, I thought the 1, 5, and 6 as far as picks go.
I'm going to be curious to see where the betting public goes, because By George, my pick, is the morning line favorite at 2 to 1. Drain the Clock at 5 to 2. Likeable at 3 to 1. I'm not going to be shocked if By George winds up as the 3rd choice, though, because Drain the Clock, it's Safi Joseph. Essentially 3 for 3. There's a loss, there's a blemish on the resume, but the horse lost the rider.
Right.
So you
could draw a line through.
Other than that, the horse is 3 for 3, including that Limehouse victory as a 3-year-old over the track. And yeah, Likeable is a Pletcher runner at Gulfstream coming out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So I'll be really interested to see where By George winds up. I'm not saying you're going to get super value or anything. I just have a feeling this horse may wind up to be 3rd choice. But I put the horse on top off the career debut. We're going to take a look at that. By George is the number 1 horse, getting it done here at Aqueduct in the middle of December. By George, Christophe Clement runner. By Into Mischief's I love first time out of the box, and this one lived up to it at 5 to 1. And you can see this is a pretty good effort. Was up with the pace early and gets it done with, as Mike said, an 81 buyer figure and a chart margin of a little over 5 lengths. So pretty good debut effort, pretty good number to wind up the 2-year-old season. Now the 3-year-old debut in this stakes company. Salty little field, but I'll take a little shot with By George off a pretty good-looking career victory. But yeah, I've Drained the Clock right underneath. That is clearly the one to beat as far as I'm concerned, off of the stakes victory last time, right on this track, and likable, also interesting. I used Poppy's Pride, however, in the third spot. And with the connections and with the other horses in here, this one may escape a little bit. We're talking a horse that's 4 for 6, plenty of early speed. If this horse could potentially sneak away, and I don't think that's out of the question, Poppy's Pride could be interesting. It may be a little bit of a price, so that's one I would look at a little bit. I'm probably with you. If I was playing picks, I'd probably settle on the 6 and the 5, but likable, very interesting. Poppy's Pride to me, very interesting. So if you're playing around for alternatives, I could look at those. For me, it is 6, 5, 4, and 1. All right, ninth race on the card on Saturday is the Forward Gal. More 3-year-olds, this time on the female side of things, however. 7 furlongs is the trip. I'm going to go back and take a look at the Glitter Woman. I put competitive speed on top with my picks, and this is career start number 4, career victory number 3. After a maiden effort at Gulfstream Park West that wasn't much, but like a lot of horses benefited from that and moved forward, now has ripped off 3 straight victories. But again, competitive speed is going to be the number 3 horse, and you can see wins off here. Chart margin of 3 lengths. All 3 victories have been by daylight. 3 lengths, 2 starts back, 4 and some lengths. 3 starts back, the maiden breaker just over a length, and has been improving each time. The numbers move forward, has moved into tougher company essentially, and this was a stakes victory that we just witnessed there at Gulfstream. So a stakes win over the strip with the 3 wins under the belt. 8-1 on the morning line. I don't know whether we'll get that, but with the connections with competitive speed as compared to the connections of some of these other horses, I think there will be potentially a little bit of value there. So competitive speed on top for me. Zagel, who I know you are going to take a look at the maiden breaker. I'm not going to argue too much there. I have it right underneath. It's Todd Pletcher at Gulfstream with a horse that looked pretty good in the debut. Coach Jer's Joy, interesting to me as well. Sappy Joseph runner that got it done in the career debut. The number is going to look a little light compared to this field in particular, and to step into stakes company with that number. But as I kind of alluded to earlier, I always like it when 2-year-olds are lightly raced and then get a little bit of a break and come back at 3-year-olds. I think improvement is not out of the question. And off the maiden breaker at the end of October and a little bit of time on the sidelines, wouldn't shock me if Coach Jer's Joy showed a little move forward. But for me, it's competitive speed, 3, 7, 8, and 6.
7, 4, 3, and 8. Zagil 7 to 5 on the morning line. We're going to take a look at that maiden breaker at Gulfstream back in mid-December, and was actually the other Pletcher horse in this race. As there was another Pletcher horse that took favoritism that day. But this horse was able to open up at will, winning by over 7 lengths that day. You take a look at the body of work for the other horses. The 6th place finisher was able to come back, break the maiden as well, so that should only flatter Zagil. It's going to be a real short price in the Ford Gal. The workout sense have been strong. Todd Pletcher, Louis Size teaming up. Being no shock to see the 7 win in this spot. I thought the 4 was interesting at an enormous price. I think 20-1 on the morning line, but probably goes off of 40-1 at post time. This horse showed promise at Gulfstream back in May of last year, breaking the maiden by over 4 lengths, was really pulling away from that field, and it was a big field of 9. Then they tried the Schuylerville and the Seeking the Annie, and the horse had dreadful trips that day, and really did no running at all. Hasn't been seen since the early part of September, but like Seth said, when you're talking the 8, who showed some promise back in October, coming off a little bit of a layoff, I thought the 4 was a little interesting. The workout pattern's been tremendous. Now, this horse absolutely has to improve Beyer-wise, and that's why you're seeing the 21 morning line. But if you're a trier or super player in here, this horse is going to be sitting probably off the pace. And then there just does seem to be some speed in here with the 5 dial to win. You know, the 8's not going to be too far off. The Geo won't be too far off. If some of these horses are gasping for air, I could definitely see the 4, Queen Aurelia, picking up the pieces in the tries and super. So I thought the 4 was interesting at a big price. And then the 3, your top choice, Seth, competitive speed. Nothing wrong with this horse at all. 3 consecutive victories, including the last one in Stakes Company at Gulfstream Park, going 6.5. Now stretches out to 7.5 in here. But tactically, looks to be sitting a real nice trip in here. And if you get anywhere as close to the 8-1 price, at post time, I think will probably be the value in the race in here. So 7, 4, 3, and 8. I didn't know what to do with the 8. I do have underneath, kind of like you do as well. He's coming off a little bit of a layoff, hasn't been seen, but did some really good running at GP West. It's always hard for me personally as a handicapper to dissect those Gulfstream Park West races, because we do see a lot of horses, romp first time out there, and then they go on to race against steeper competition. And sometimes it works out well for some horses, and sometimes it doesn't. So it'll be interesting. I'll probably be watching the board mostly with the 8. Probably attract a lot of attention with the IRATA board. So
certainly Queen Norella, those last 2 workouts, maybe they're tipping their hand that this horse is coming back.
Yeah, I mean that's another one. I mean,
46 and change.
If I'm wrong and the horse doesn't go off 30-1 and somehow is half the price of the 20-1 morning line, could potentially be live, and especially if you like those verticals. So
all right, let's move on to race number 10, the Swedish Chant Grade 3 event, a mile on the grass. I'm going to take a look at a replay in a minute or so of the Ginger Brew, because I wanted people to see. I went back and forth between my two top picks, with Honey Pants getting a little trouble line there, and so I wanted people to see that. So we'll look at that. Looking at the replay here, so we'll go with that. Honey Pants is going to be the 3-horse there. Winds up running second, but you're going to see the head-on too, and there is a trouble line that the horse was bumped. I'll let you look as they come down. They are leaning on each other, but as you can see with the pan shot, I don't know whether it made a difference, because when I first looked, I thought with the trouble line I would tilt towards Honey Pants, but then I eventually went with Con Lima on top, just because as I looked and saw the pan shot, saw the head on, I was just a little bit unconvinced that the bumping made it enough of a difference to switch things up. So I wound up with Con Lima over Honey Pants. Domain Expertise in the 3rd spot for me. It's Chad Brown, it's Klarovich. I always like that combination, and it seems like maybe you like them as well.
Yeah, we'll take a look at Domain Expertise. That maiden breaker at Tampa Bay last time out was able to go clear. Pretty much did all the running throughout the race. Got the lead early, opened up by 4 lengths at Tampa. You're going to see the number 1 here is able to get the job done in the 3rd career start. Now this horse has an interesting pattern if you're taking a look at the past performances. Finished second in a really strong maiden special weight at Saratoga against Editor at Large. She's raced in some really good competition, including the Breeders' Cup. Domain Enterprise finished second, only beating a half length to that horse, Editor at Large. Then Miss O'Connell, who finished behind, and in that race came back to break the maiden, sort of the 4th place horse. So that maiden race at Saratoga turned out to be a pretty key race, producing 4 winners in that race. They tried Stakes Company after finishing second at Pimlico. I just think didn't like the surface. Was yielding that day, was through early, didn't do much running. And then at Tampa Bay, the race you just saw where the horse was able to win by open lengths. That's the Domain Expertise that I think you're going to see on Saturday. 5-1 on the morning line, but again, with the connections, Tyler Gaffleone, Klarovich, Chad Brown, probably have to expect half the price. But it's an interesting race. I put the 6 on. It's not my strongest opinion of the day, but 6 on top. And then I do like your horse, Seth, Honey Pants in this spot too. I thought last time, like you said, a little bit of a trouble trip. Didn't get much pace to run into that day. Con Lima was a horse that was able to set some pretty soft fractions and open up late. But I thought Honey Pants may be some value in here with IRAD aboard, and then Con Lima in the 3rd spot. We just have our top 3 in different order. But again, if you're playing doubles, pick 3s, pick 4s, I think you could probably get away with 3, even potentially 2, if you want to eliminate one of those horses in here. But I think it goes through those 3. And then the 8 Director's Cut in the 4th spot off a really nice 2nd place performance. Didn't get much pace to run into that day. Got the lead late, then got a little leg weary in the stretch. But I thought it was another horse was coming off a little bit of a layoff. So now second off the layoff, should be much more fit in this spot. The workout sense has been strong. So if you're looking for a little bit bigger of a price, I thought Director's Cut was a horse you want to use. 6, 2, 4, and 8.
All right, the highlight of the afternoon is going to be the Holy Bull Grade 3 event for the 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16, couple $100,000 up for grabs. And I'll jump right into my replay. Maiden special weight event from December 26th. And the number 2 horse in here will be a Mount. 8-5 favorite in the career debut for Todd Pletcher, Mike Rapoli, and company. This is a sibling to Mucho. Mucho was second, then first, then second, then first. The 3rd career start, that 2nd place finish, was in the 2018 Hopeful. So again, this horse is a sibling to a runner that not only also won early, but early in the career had a good stakes placing. So I don't think it's out of the question off of this effort last time. A Mount comes back and runs very, very well in a stakes race in only the second career start. So I'll put a Mount on top off again that good effort we saw as the 8-5 favorite. And also, I will say, over the years, I've just gotten to the point where you can't ignore Todd Pletcher in these Kentucky Derby trail type of prep races. His horses typically run very well. Sometimes they run, much better than their odds. I'll be interested to see. One of the things I liked about this horse was the 6-1 morning line. But I think everybody's kind of on board with what I'm thinking about Pletcher and early season 3-year-old races. And then you add in, it's at Gulfstream Park, and so it becomes even more potent for Pletcher. So I'll go there. I'll go with the other Pletcher prime factor in the second spot. Also, a good-looking maiden breaker at Gulfstream and the potential to move forward. This one goes out for Windstar and China Horse Club, some of his main clients. Good workout leading into this over at Palm Beach Downs. So that horse becomes very, very dangerous. Third spot, I have Greatest Honor off a good maiden breaker last time for Shug, and Sitting on Go for Dale Romans, also very intriguing. Off of the win in the Iroquois at Churchill, I've said a number of times, I like the Churchill 2-year-old races at all levels. Claimers, allowance races, stakes company in the fall, and that's regardless of whether it's that early, this is really late summer for the Iroquois, but either that meet or the subsequent meet where the horse ran in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Now, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and Kentucky Jockey Club didn't live up to what we saw in the Iroquois, but Sitting on Go with that Iroquois victory and now making the 3-year-old debut off a little bit of a layoff could be intriguing for Dale Romans. But I'll go with the longer part of the uncoupled Pletcher entry on top. I have a Mount as the winner. 4, 6, 7, and 8 for me in the Holy Bull.
Yeah, we're thinking alike on Saturday. I have the same 4, just a little bit different order. Greatest Honor on top for me, 7, 6, 8, and 4. Greatest Honor is a horse that had shown a lot of promise in the 3 career starts before breaking the maiden, which you're going to see last time out down at Gulfstream Park. Horse was sitting in the back of the pack. The 9 actually opened up, and then the 7 was able to kind of grind down the 9 here. And you're going to see it goes past. And again, there was not a fast pace going on, and the 7 was still able to get the job done. You dig 2 back when the horse faced Known Agenda at Aqueduct, and I've showed the replay before with Known Agenda. They were 21 lengths clear of the 3rd place horse. So that just shows you the quality of this horse. I think this horse is on the rising trend in here. Out of Tapit, pedigrees to run all day in this spot. Does need a little pace development here, but you're going to see some speed from the 9. You're going to see some speed from the 5 in here. You can see some speed from a couple others in this spot. So if there's any speed and hot pace that develops, you're going to see Greatest Honor closing. Now, 5-2, I actually think it's going to hold in this spot because there's a ton of different options. You have the 2 Pletchers, which I think are going to get bet in this spot, and then also Sitting on Go, who should take some action for Dale Romans. So hopefully that price holds at 5-2 or maybe even higher, but I'll use Greatest Honor on top off that main breaker. The 6 underneath Prime Factor, the other Pletcher in here, $900,000 purchase, was able to break the main in the first career start by almost 9 lengths. Did so going 6 furlongs, now stretching out to 2 turns. Nothing bad to say about this horse at all. The workout pattern's been sharp. Obviously, the big purchase price is going to attract a lot of attention at the tote board for Windstar Farm, Todd Pletcher, and IRAD aboard. The 8 Sitting on Go. This was actually my top choice when we did the Breeders' Cup seminar in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Went off that day at just under 10-1. Didn't do much running. If you go back and watch the Iroquois, that was a spectacular race. Was 24-1 that day. Did a lot of running late. Opened up by 2.5 against a good field that day. The last 2 races obviously hasn't been very good. The form seems to be slipping in here. But again, if this horse can revert back to that maiden breaker in that Iroquois race, you may get a generous price in here with Corey Lannery aboard. I still think Sitting on Go is a big player in here. And then the 4 Mount, your top choice in here. The other Pletcher to talk about, did nothing wrong in their career debut, stretches out now to 2 turns as well. I think will attract some attention, especially with Lee Size aboard. So 7, 6, 8, and 4. I don't know who you think post-time favorite's going to be in here, but this, to me, I think is going to change. The morning line that you see is not going to be anywhere what you see at post-time. That's my thought anyway going into this, because I think Greatest Honor is going to go up. I think the two Pletchers are going to go down off their morning line, and then I think Sitting on Go may actually potentially go up as well. So I think the race on the tote board could potentially be the two Pletchers in here.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be different than the morning line, no question about it. But a fun 3-year-old step on the Derby Trail on a 3-year-old stakes afternoon at Gulfstream Park. So we wish everybody good luck there. The 3-year-olds also underway out at Santa Anita on Saturday with the Bob Lewis. Bob Baffert, I think, has a couple in there, including Spielberg, who was a decent price on the Kentucky Derby future pool. Most of the Bafferts were taking a little action because it's Baffert with Kentucky Derby. Spielberg.
I actually had Spielberg last time. I'm not sure if you remember the race, but at Los Al, he won by that much.
Which I think played into the price.
Yeah.
But if he, if he turns out to be authentic in the Haskell and wins nicely on Saturday in the Bob Lewis, a lot of people will be going, oh, I should have picked up a little.
Yeah, he's a horse that's still learning, because I think we've talked about him a couple of times in the stakes preview. He has trouble changing leads in the stretch, and he even did so in the race where he just won by an inch. He's a horse, when he figures it out, he's got a lot of potential. The pedigree's there, the price is there, and obviously Bob Baffert, being a trainer in this spot, when he figures it out, he's going to be a real tough horse.
Yeah, but that's coming up Saturday at Santa Anita. Any promos we should be alerted of?
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the February calendar. Again, if you're watching us on social media, or if you live in the Capital Region, or even if you don't, we have a host of promotions that we do here at Capital OTB. Including our bounty bet, which we talk about a lot when you do OTB Live. No one's hit the bounty bet yet. All you have to do is play the late pick 5 at the designated track. We alternate between Aqueduct and Gulfstream right now, but play the late pick 5, and then you have a chance to obviously win the late pick 5 pool, but also a separate pool at Capital OTB. And again, the pool right now is at $975, so that's a great promotion. We're actually going to start 2 new promos in February. We're going to do a player's bankroll, so if you live locally, and we're going to do one at the clubhouse and then one online as well. So we'll be doing that. So look for that new promo. We're going to do our syndicates, which have been quite popular. We already hit the first one of 2021. Hopefully we can keep those going forward. Again, $25 entry fee, 20 people included. OTB adds $250. You, the patron, to choose the selections. The group consensus forms the ticket. We put it in for you, and then hopefully end up hitting it. We've paid out over $14,000 since July, so that's been a huge promo. And then also we're going to have a new contest locally. If you live near the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany, we're going to have a new Play the Board contest, which we just got approval from the Gaming Commission. We're going to start that. It's a new type of contest that we do with our trifectas, our knockouts and whatnot. And then a host of bonus days. So if you like bonus days as a player, we have 1% dark day bonuses. And then new to February, we're going to do 2% nighttime bonuses on Charlestown and Penn National on Wednesday nights. So take advantage of that. We also have the Pick 4 bankrolls that we do with the sponsorship of Gulfstream, and then we're going to do a Super Bowl thing as well. So there's a lot to look forward to in February and obviously all year long. So
yeah, looking forward to it. We are underway for 2021, but the fun continues here at Capital OTB. Mike, appreciate the thoughts. Good luck this weekend.
Good luck to you. Good luck to everybody as well.
Yeah, good luck to everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in as always, and we will see you next time.